Hello! How's everybody doing? I want to do another one of these videos because these are fun. This is something that I enjoy doing, just talking wrestling, and I'm getting good responses, and I'd like to thank my buddy Pizzow, aka The Piz, for doing the pay-per-view review. Hopefully he'll make that like a regular thing. Who knows? It's up to him. But yeah, wanted to talk about rebooking the invasion angle, or I don't even know if it's rebooking, just how I would have done things. And I was looking at this pay-per-view not too long ago, WWF Invasion, and you know, it was a decent pay-per-view. But you know, and this was like in July 2001. It was a good, like, what, 4 months after the infamous Nitro, which is the last Nitro ever. Rebooking the invasion. Well, there's so many stupid things that they did, the invasion angle. Number one stupid fucking thing they did, okay? I have no clue as to why this was, but I want to show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. Let's just take that out. There we go. What the fuck was that? Okay, you had WCW. That was the new logo. Okay, new logo. Why? Why all of a sudden they have the new? Why don't you just keep the old fucking logo? I'm not talking about the stupid starship looking thing. I'm talking about just the regular lettered WCW. That told us right off that this was not going well. Okay, to me at least, because it told me like, Vince McMahon's in the back saying this is going to be our own brand WCW. Folks, here is how I would rebook the invasion angle. There would be no invasion angle. Okay? Here's what you do. Because only less than a year later, I think it was in 2002, is when they did the fucking brand split. It's very simple, folks. Very simple. Nobody in 2011 believes that SmackDown and Raw are two separate entities. It just doesn't. You know, how many times since they've done the fucking draft have we seen SmackDown guys on Raw, Raw guys on SmackDown? However, rewind back to 2001. Nitro, on the very last Nitro, Shane McMahon, that's the angle at the time, we'll go with that, we'll still go with that angle, it's very viable, purchases WCW. Next week, and he also could say, I also purchased the television rights for SmackDown. So next week, I guess at that point it would have been Thursday at 8 p.m. on UPN, it's WCW Nitro. Now, another reason that would work well is because, as we all remember, if you're old enough to watch wrestling back 10 years ago, the invasion angle, not all the WCW stars were available at the time. Turner at the time, they had all of their bigger stars under contract. Goldberg was under contract for another couple of years. I think Hogan was still under contract, and Nash and Hall and all those guys were still under contract to Turner. So they couldn't go anywhere. So you're going to have an invasion angle led by only DDP, who's the only, you know, halfway main event guy that is going to be on there. So the invasion angle would not have worked regardless of how well Vince McMahon wanted to do it, which I don't think he really gave a fuck about doing it anyway. You can't have an invasion angle with fucking Mark Jindrak. Who else did they even have at the time? Like, they had Billy Kidman, Sean Stasiak, people like that. You couldn't do that. But I feel that if they didn't even work on it, don't even fucking bother with doing the invasion angle, okay? It's blowing your load too quickly, and you could have led things up to the WrestleMania the next year. That's when you fucking do your invasion angle, or do something along those lines, and never ever bring the Nitro guys to Raw. And I know some people are like, what the fuck, you're completely getting rid of SmackDown. At that point, yeah, because you purchased WCW for pennies on the dollar, and considering what they did, I think that it would be a definite improvement, over what happened. They were bringing in, I cannot remember exactly how things went. I think a couple of weeks later, they had, they put the little bug down in there, and that's how they changed Raw to WCW. And they would have separate WCW announcers. And I think they had a match with fucking like Booker T and Buff Bagwell, which was horrible. I think it was Buff Bagwell's like one of his only appearances on Raw. But the thing is, WCW was more of a southern-based fan base, and I think you could have held on to those fans. They didn't have a whole lot of them left in 2001 after a year and a half of just god-awful wrestling product. But had they, instead of doing the brand split, which they would do just less than a year later, do it like that and bring in, like I was saying, you could have brought over a few WWF guys at the time into WCW. Shane McMahon could be buying some contracts and stuff like that. I just feel that would have been a more profitable thing to do at the time. And and going back and looking at it, it's easy to play like Monday morning quarterback or whatever, what should have been done, what should have happened. But it just seemed like to me like the only thing Vince wanted to do with WCW is completely bury it. We all remember WCW, the whole thing was over with in I guess it was November of 2001. They've never done anything else with it. And I'll be the first to say WCW was not worth much at the time, but there's so much history there, and instead of doing the brand split and having two separate WWF sets of titles, it just would have made a whole lot more sense to keep WCW around and let somebody have complete creative control over WCW, like Shane, and that's the way you do it. I don't think you book the invasion angle so quickly, get everything done so quickly. It was a lot of fun to watch. It didn't last very long at all, which is a shame. But what can you do? That's just the way I would do it. Don't want to bore you guys too much with this shit, but that's my thoughts. Hey, if anybody wants to respond to this stuff, go right ahead. Video responses are welcome and appreciated. So hope you guys enjoyed watching this. It's my thoughts. What are yours? See you guys later.